So, here's a thought. What if the universe isn't just a big, chaotic mess of random stuff happening? What if, deep down, it's a system with a hidden structure, a structure that can actually be learned? Today, we're jumping into a really profound idea from Google DeepMind's Demis Hassabis that, honestly, could change everything we think we know about AI and maybe even reality itself. Okay, so this right here, this is the big idea. This is the conjecture Hassabis dropped during his Nobel Prize lecture. I mean, that is a seriously bold statement. What he's basically saying is that everything from biology to the cosmos, all the patterns we see, they aren't just random noise. They have a kind of logic to them, a structure that an AI could potentially figure out and understand.
All right, a provocative conjecture. So what does that actually mean in the real world? Well, it all comes down to finding a much smarter way to solve problems that seem completely impossible.
Think about it like this. You've got two ways to tackle a ridiculously hard problem. You could use brute force, which is basically just trying every single possible answer until you stumble on the right one. Or you could use a smart search, where you look for the hidden pattern, the underlying rule. For things like the game of Go or protein folding, you can't use brute force. It's not an option. Why? Because the number of possibilities is just insane. Yeah, just look at that number. For protein folding, that's roughly how many possible shapes there are. 10 to the power of 300. I mean, our brains can't even comprehend that number. It's way bigger than the number of atoms in the entire universe. So you just can't check every possibility. It's impossible. You have to find a shortcut, a pattern. And that's exactly what AI is starting to get incredibly good at. So, how is AI actually learning to see reality? Well, it's already happening in ways that are kind of blowing the minds of even the people who are building this stuff. This is where it gets a little bit magical. You've got AI models like Google's VO creating these incredibly realistic videos. Now, Hassabis himself used to be a game physics programmer. He knows just how painfully difficult it is to code how light should bounce off a surface, or how water should slosh around. And yet, he's seeing VO basically teach itself intuitive physics just by watching a whole bunch of videos. It's wild. And this is the key takeaway. For the longest time, the thinking in AI and even neuroscience was that to really get the physical world, an agent needs a body. It needs to push things, to fall down, to interact. But Veo is suggesting maybe not. Maybe the rules of our reality are so deeply encoded in what we see that they can be learned just by watching. So if an AI can learn physics just by observing, that doesn't just change things for AI. It actually pulls us into one of the biggest, deepest questions in all of computer science, and maybe even philosophy. Let's make this super simple. You know a Sudoku puzzle, right? Solving it can take you forever. But if I give you a finished puzzle, you can check if it's correct in, like, 2 seconds. That's the difference between P and NP. The big question is, are all those problems that are super easy to check also secretly easy to solve if we could just find the clever algorithm? And this is where Hassabis makes the big leap. He says, look, maybe the universe itself is just a giant information system. And if that's true, then P versus NP stops being some abstract math question. It becomes a physics question. It becomes a question about the fundamental rules of our reality. Which leads us to this pretty mind-bending thought. If the universe does have a learnable structure, and if AI is the tool that's getting better and better at finding that structure, then could our whole reality, the universe itself, just be a solvable problem for an AI that's smart enough? Okay, let's pull back from the edge of philosophy for a second and bring this all back down to earth. Let's talk about something Hassabis is really passionate about and where we might see this stuff first: video games. You know how most big open-world games work, right? It feels like you can go anywhere, but you're mostly on pre-scripted paths. It's the illusion of choice. Hassabis' dream is to go way beyond that. Imagine a game world that isn't pre-built at all. It's a world that generates itself on the fly, co-creating a story with you based on what you can imagine. A truly dynamic, living world. So whether we're talking about figuring out biology, modeling physics, or dreaming up these incredible new game worlds, all of these paths are actually leading to the same place. It's all part of one massive mission. And that's the holy grail, right? Artificial general intelligence. We're not talking about an AI that's just good at one thing, like chess or generating images. We're talking about an intelligence that can learn, reason, and create across tons of different fields, kind of like we can. The goal is to build it to help us tackle humanity's biggest problems. But how will we even know when we're there?
Well, Hassabis has some really interesting benchmarks. And it's not just about raw power. He argues that true intelligence is about creativity. It's about invention. It's about asking the right new questions. So could an AI invent a new game? Something as complex and beautiful as Go? Could it come up with a scientific theory that's so compelling real-world scientists have to study it? That's the real test.
And so we end up right back where we started, with this huge question that kind of hangs over all of this work. If we actually succeed, if we build an AI that can learn and model every pattern in nature, what does that tell us about the reality we live in? What does it say about us? It suggests that our universe might be far more knowable and, frankly, far more incredible than we ever dared to imagine.